Are good, Beck? Hey, welcome everybody. We are live on the Huntley Fall Fest Facebook page. And wow, what a week it's been. Storms yesterday did a little crazy stuff to us all, but hey, we're here, we're having fun, and we're with a couple of guys from an amazing act that's going to be on our Huntley Fall Fest stage on the 27th of September. So just so everyone's updated here, Huntley Fall Fest is September 25th, 26th, 27th. We're at the Dikey Park, Huntley Park District grounds right off Randall Road. So it's easy to get to, 90 to Randall, where you're good. Actually off 47, I'm sorry, not off Randall. We are sponsored by First National Bank of Omaha. So thank you for sponsoring our stage. They do a great job for us and help us out. A lot of volunteers help us there as well from their local bank. We do a car show. We've got carnival with huge carnival passes called Mega Pass. And we've got local eateries and local bars. So Hopped is one of our great breweries right in Huntley, and they're doing 2 new beers for us. One's an Oktoberfest and one's an IPA. So it's going to be a great, fantastic weekend. Hopefully you guys have something to drink with you. That is not apple juice, even though I said that was before. Anyway, yes, so that's it. That's all I got for announcements and that kind of thing. And I just like to introduce the Blooze Brothers, Jake and Elwood. How are you guys doing, man?
It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses.
You know, I was gonna ask you, you know, how far away from Huntley Fall Fest are you? And you just answered it, 106 miles away.
Yeah, I'm talking to you from my subterranean compound right here at Blooze Brothers Central.
Nice. All that background stuff is great. Is that all memorabilia from the movie? Where'd you get that from?
There's what you see behind me is really most of the early years of the band, which would be about 1993 until about 2000. And there's some memorabilia back there from Ray's Music Exchange, Bob's Country Bunker, some posters from, we played with the Blackhawks, a few other headlining gigs here and there. But yeah, it's mostly old band pictures.
That's awesome. So Jake and Elwood, have you been Jake and Elwood throughout the whole time that Blooze Brothers has been around?
Go ahead, Jake.
93?
I'd say, yeah,
Oh, no, you personally.
Me personally, have I been Jake throughout the whole wait, say it again.
Well,
I've been
93.
drinking.
Since 93. Since 93.
Since 93. Well,
This is the third Jake, soon to be the fourth and fifth Jake.
I'm the final Jake through the years. So I've accustomed all the ways of the music being learned and listening to all that good music and getting to play it with a new group of friends that I call family that kind of welcome me throughout the years. And I get to show my moves and show how much fun I get to have and do it all with a great family. And Elwood took me in and really treated me like a brother. And we are brothers now. And it's,
Yeah, this is our third Jake, Jim. The other Jakes, as they get incarcerated, we have to kind of train a new guy.
Oh, gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
this current Jake, how long you been around?
What'd you say, Elwood?
How long you been around?
I've been around for this will be my 5th year.
Oh, that's fantastic.
5 years. 5 years. My 5th anniversary this year.
Oh, it's fantastic. So just in case people don't recognize you, Jake, that is a quarantine kind of beard you got going on there, isn't it?
This is called laziness, pure laziness. After a while, when the cops don't seem to catch you, you just don't care anymore.
That's fantastic. When you guys are able to get back on a big stage again, that's coming off, or are you going to keep it on?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I may shave it off. It itches.
Yeah, it's coming off. It's coming off. Sideburns will stay.
Sideburns will always stay. You can't get rid of those.
Nice. So Elwood, you said you guys have been around since 1993. What was the thought process of putting the band together and the show together to keep the rock going, right? I mean,
I'll give you the full blown story. Back in about '89, my ex-brother-in-law, who was a singer back in high school when we were in a rock band, we were going to a Halloween party. And we didn't have any costumes. We didn't know what to wear. And I said to him, because I knew he could sing, I said, I have some cassette backing tracks of some Blues Brothers songs. I said, let's just find some white shirts and some ties, hats and glasses. And let's put on a little show for our friends at the party and do a couple of Blues Brothers songs. And then we did it as just a lark. Well, it went over so well that we started crashing karaoke bars and other spots as the Blues Brothers, and we'll sing a couple songs. From there, that we parlayed that into showing up at wedding receptions, private parties, and we had about an hour show of just Jake and Elwood singing to backing tracks. Now, back in those days, the backing tracks were a cassette deck.
Yeah.
And there was a time after 2 years of just a two-man show, we would be at a festival in front of 10 or 15,000 people with just the two of us and a coffee table on a stage with a cassette deck. And literally after every song, I would say, thank you, and turn around. You have to queue up the next song. And before CDs,
Oh, yeah.
say
Yeah.
before, your iPhones and everything else. And after 3 years of that, I said to my partner at the time, I said, we need to do this bigger to get some respect. I said, we should try to find a band. Now, there's a publication out called the Illinois Entertainer. You've probably heard of it.
Yep.
It's a music rag that talks about nightclubs and music stores and the music scene in Illinois, specifically the greater Chicago area. There's a classified section in the back. And I thought that maybe we would put an ad in there looking for some kind of a band. Well, I just happened to open up the Illinois Entertainer, and there was an ad in there already that said Blues Brothers Band looking for Jake and Elwood.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was a group of guys who had gone to Illinois State College together. They'd been out of college, 6, 7, 10 years or whatever it was. They were younger than us, but they had a band with a 3-piece horn section. Did Blues Brothers, Chicago, Blood, Sweat and Tears, Ides of March, everything with horns.
Nice.
I called this gentleman up. His name was Tom Culver, bass player. That night, he came out to see Jake and Elwood at a nightclub in St. Charles at the time that was called Sam's Place. And we used to do a little skit there. So they came out to see us. The next day we were in Joliet at one of their band members' homes, rehearsing with their band. So late 92, early 93 is when the first band started and we were off and running.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. And you said they had horns. So it was a full band. They just didn't have you guys.
Exactly right. They were lacking, true lead vocalists and vocals in general, but they knew all the material. So we were up and running in literally like 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Enough material to start doing clubs and festivals. And I started sending out promo, letting people know that now we had a band. And, one thing led to another. We started getting bigger and bigger gigs. So here's another interesting story. First thing I said, we need to put together some promo, picture of the band. Well, at the time, the original Joliet prison where the Blues Brothers filmed their opening,
Right.
still open.
Oh, wow.
I called the warden and I introduced myself. I said, hey, I'm in a Blues Brothers shooting. I said, tomorrow, we're just going to pull up right across the street from the prison and like the vacant lot by your front door. And I have the Bluesmobile. We're going to jump out, maybe just shoot a couple of pictures. I just wanted to give you a courtesy call. Thank you very much. He goes, absolutely not.
Wow.
He goes, that's a violation of security. You cannot shoot any still pictures or video of any prison walls from any angle. So I said, okay, blah, blah, blah. So as I hung up the phone, some of the band members were around me and they were like, hey, what did he say? And I said, hey, he said everything's good.
Just like Elwood would.
So the next day we roll up commando style, the Bluesmobile in front, 3 carloads of band members behind us and the photographer in the 5th car. I pull into this vacant lot across the street from the main entrance where the opening scene of the Blues Brothers movie was filmed. It's iconic. We jump out, we start lining up in front of the car, the cameraman starts clicking. As we're taking pictures, you hear the slow turn of the sirens. They're winding these sirens in the prison. For real, there's guys on the top of the wall with rifles. and the sirens are going off. The prison doors open up, these massive steel doors, and all these squads and security cars come pouring out and surround us.
Oh man.
Guns.
Oh
So,
man.
so I'm licking my wounds. I'm trying to explain to the cop what we're doing. He gets the drift. He says, listen, he goes, slap on the wrist, we'll let you go. So they pull the photographer aside and they open up his camera. He gives him the film. So we drive off. We're about 2 miles away. We pull into a lot just to lick our wounds and talk about the story, what just went down. Photographer comes over me and he puts his hand out. I go, what's this? He goes, it's the film. He goes, I switched it. He goes, it's the pictures. He goes, I switched the film.
Oh man.
So
So I mean,
our first set of black and whites were with the prison walls in the background. Well, the funny thing is Dick and I went and played years ago.
Oh.
Trap.
Hey Elwood, just for a second here, you keep going in and out just a little bit, and that little segment, we didn't hear you at all.
I was
so.
going to say the funny thing is that 2 years ago, Jake and myself and the band played the grand opening of that prison as like a tourist
Right.
trap for Joliet, and we were the headliners.
Yeah, that was
And,
fun.
and during our set, right before Jailhouse Rock, I told that story, and I said, "This goes out to you, Warden," and we went right into Jailhouse Rock.
Was it surreal to be on that property after? I mean, you guys are sitting in a parking lot across the street, and you get a whole bunch of security guys coming out, surround you guys,
And
stop
we
you
could
from
have
what
been
you're
in that
doing,
prison. I know. Yeah, it was surreal.
and then you go in and go inside and do the grand opening for the tour.
And what's cool is that for the grand reopening, we Elwood and I kind of positioned the car across the street, and we redid the opening shot from the movie.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So have you guys done video of that too, or is it just stills?
Of that day, I think it's
There's
just
some
stills. Is there some video?
Yeah,
There may
remember
be.
Danye's
Oh yeah, yeah,
got
yeah.
video.
There may be.
There is
Well,
some
no,
video on YouTube if you look it up.
You were talking about the concert.
The
Oh, of the
opening,
concert,
any of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
from
oh,
the
yeah.
opening, the grand reopening, there's some video.
Yeah, you can pull that up on YouTube. Put in Blooze Brothers, how we spell it, BLOOZE, and
Yep,
Joliet Prison. It'll come up.
Mhm.
that's great. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I did look up quite a few of your videos and didn't look that one up.
So anyway, that was the start. You know, the very first band, and we were off and running doing fests. And at the time, they had a 3-piece horn section of a trumpet, tenor sax, and alto. And in I think the next 6 months, we added a trombone to mimic exactly how the Blooze Brothers band had it.
That's fantastic. So is it tough to keep a band that size together? And did you change a lot of the players out over the years, or do you have a lot of the original players?
Well, when we first got together with that group of guys, as we left the rehearsal that first day with the full band, my partner, Jake, at the time said to me, he said, "What do you think?" And I said, well, I go, it's a start. And I said, we'll replace people as we go. Because I just wanted to get going. So what ended up happening over the next 2 years, the first batch of guys started drifting away because of marriage and having kids and jobs and whatever. And what we did is we started filling it with like Chicago's top talent. We held auditions, and because we were doing fun music and not using computers, 'cause that's another thing. Everything we do is live. We don't have any computers or no backing tracks. One of the few bands that still do that out there. You know, so we kept replacing people with the top musicians at every position. But we have a lot of longevity. The horn section's been together now 20 years. Our alto sax player's been with me 24 years. You know, so
That's
most people in the band are probably 10, 11 years and longer.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So we don't have a lot of turnover.
Is it tougher nowadays to keep that band together like that? I mean,
You know,
you guys have to have such fun gigs.
I think because it's fun. I think because we only rehearse, and I know people are going to hate me for saying this because I know some bands that rehearse every week and never play out. we rehearse maybe 3 days a year. That's it. And
Right,
that's
but you're
just basically
playing.
we're playing, and then we rehearse 3 days a year to pick up some new songs, and sometimes to check harmonies, because you have to keep on top of harmonies.
Yeah.
So, when you're doing 3 or 4 or 5-part harmonies, sometimes if a part gets off, you want to catch it away, off stage, obviously, go over it with everybody backstage. So we do like mini rehearsals, a minute here, 10 seconds there to check a part.
Other than
That's
that,
awesome.
we wing it 3/4 of the year, man.
But I mean, all the musicians are talented, and they read music. So one ends up giving an idea, Jim. For instance, we're going to be rehearsing in a few weeks, and I haven't been together with the guys and the rest of the band members for 6 months.
Right.
We're going to be learning a Prince medley and Huey Lewis and the News, and we're also going to add Stevie Wonder. We're adding one of Jake's tunes. Jake's an amazing songwriter, and
Awesome.
we're going to be doing one of his originals called Holiday, which is, I mean, so fun. Yeah, it'll blow you away.
That's great. So Elwood, do me a favor, let Jay know that I do see him on there, and we'll pull him in just a minute. So if you can text him and let him know that, that'd be great. I do see
Yep,
him there.
I'll do it.
So when you guys put the band together, you go around, you start playing gigs. Are you getting called from other parts of the country? Are you getting called to go on the road kind of thing? Or did you just plan on, we'll just play some clubs, we'll play some fests around the Chicago market? What was the thought process?
I think when you're in any kind of a band, you take whatever is offered, especially when you're new. The first few years, we did a lot more. Right now, we don't do any clubs as a rule. We're strictly festivals, private parties.
And
maybe-
theaters, some
Yeah,
theaters.
theaters too.
Yeah.
In the first few years, we did clubs and festivals, and we started to break into private parties, corporate shows. And,
Sure.
because we're 11 pieces, we found out that we don't fit in a lot of clubs, and the club thing was not a good fit for us. I didn't feel it paid enough at the time. We didn't fit on most of the stages. It just wasn't a good experience. So our focus was on festivals and corporate parties, but we did also travel. We played President Obama's second inaugural in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
We were invited to represent the state of Illinois. They flew the whole band out to Washington, D.C.
That's
So,
awesome.
we've traveled, Denver, New York, Boston, a few other places, but I would say 90% of our gigs are within 100 to 150 miles of Chicago.
Yeah, strictly the Midwest. I mean, the UP, we've been going up to the UP lately, playing up there, right, Elwood?
Yeah, they got some beautiful historic theaters up there. 5 years ago, we played one, and they talk to each other. So 70 miles away, the other theater wanted to.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and that's a lot of fun up there. I mean,
It's
a whole new
beautiful.
territory.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And these are big theaters. They hold 500 to 800 people.
So Jake, you said earlier that Elwood's like a brother today. When you say that, do you guys hang out outside of the stage? Are you
Yeah, I'm actually going to see him on Saturday. We're gonna go hang out and have some time together. We haven't seen each other with this whole damn quarantine thing. It's hard to stay away from each other, and it's a tough time for all of us. But yeah, we're gonna see each other, and we're used to hanging out with each other. We go see other concerts and stuff like that together, and go see other bands and see how they're doing their shtick, and yeah, we love hanging around each other.
A few months ago, I flew out to Las Vegas.
Yeah, I performed in Vegas.
Was performing out there.
And Elwood joined me in Vegas.
Yeah, one of his originals on stage out there. Yeah.
I performed at the South
great.
Point Casino out there with my buddy Frankie Marino out in Vegas, and Elwood joined me for that, and it was we had quite a weekend out in Vegas.
I bet you guys did.
So we have anybody that's trying to ask us any questions, Jim, or what do you see out there?
Yeah, we got one that came in. Have you guys done any live sessions via Facebook Live during this whole situation going on?
We have not, and I've turned them down politely, only because unlike most of the acts that do that, they can touch a computer and they have tracks that's like carrying 80 or 90% of the load. We don't have that. We do everything live with 11 people, And for me to do some kind of a live stream production of the whole band, the production would be kind of cost prohibitive. And what I'm afraid of is that I don't want to get on the internet and not have it show up as a quality mix,
Right.
representative of what
There's
the
always
band really.
sound issues. Yeah.
Yeah, if I could just press a button and we could sing some vocals live, Jake and I could do a song, that would be easy. But we don't do that.
Jim, we did put out a video that is on YouTube, a music video called "Stay Home Chicago" that made it on WGN News, and that's probably the only thing that we've done as a band so far, other than not live streaming.
And that was more of a spoof, so I wasn't concerned about people thinking, "Oh, that's how the Blooze Brothers sound live." I mean,
Yeah.
It sounded incredible. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But what I'm getting at is I'm a perfectionist, and I would want it done, correctly.
yeah, you want to keep the authenticity of what you guys have put together real. And it's hard to do when you have 11, 12, 13 people in the band with you guys, and you're all in different places, right?
Yeah, exactly
So,
right. Right.
When you're especially a live rhythm and blues review, we are a show band. We are, we are a live experience, and it's hard to do a live experience over the internet. This is we're more in your face, and that's what I would say. Wouldn't you say, Elwood?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and I think that's probably more character based than anything else. I mean, you guys have to be in there and having fun with the fans, right? I mean,
Oh yeah,
have
that's
you ever
the best part. Interacting with the fans is the most fun thing in the world. I love going to the edge of the stage and jumping out in the audience with Elwood and dancing with all the ladies, and it's a blast. You can't ask for anything better.
Well, I'll give you a quick story to kind of plays to that, Jim. A few years ago, we played the Winter Classic for the Chicago Blackhawks at Soldier Field.
Oh yeah.
It happened to be in March. I forget the exact date, but it was an extremely cold day, like 8 degrees and snowing. It was brutal. So we're under the bowels of Soldier Field in our green room, and the Plain White Tees were playing the first intermission, and then the Blues Brothers were playing the second. Well, during the first intermission, because it was so cold out there, I watched, a lot of the fans or half the fans get out of their seats and go underneath to try to find a warm place or get something to eat and drink. And so now it gets to between the second and third period, it's our turn. And we're coming through the lower bowels of the Soldier Field. And there's a gentleman from NBC with a headset, waiting to push us through the door in front of all the people. And I say to him, I go, it's a shame it's so cold out and all the people are going to be underneath and, taking a break and missing our show. He pulls his headset down, the guy from NBC. He goes, "What are you kidding?" He goes, "You're the freaking Blues Brothers. There's not an empty seat out there right now. They're waiting for you."
Oh man.
So we went out to 70,000 people and they just went nuts. We had them all singing along. It was snowing. I mean, we were slipping all over stage, but it was a blast.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. So not only did you play in front of 70,000 people, but you had the Plain White Tees open up for you guys.
Well, not in a way, but yeah.
I mean,
I wasn't lucky enough to be the Jake for that one, and
Yeah,
I wish I was.
Let's face it. I mean, they're a big headlining act, and I was just making it a point. They were up at first, and I saw them come back after their little segment, and they were frozen and soaking wet. But I didn't even feel the temperature. I didn't even notice it.
What's the most fun show you guys have ever done? Jake, what about you?
Oh man.
It's hard to say one, right?
Actually, I do have one. It was a corporate show we were doing for Senator Sandoval. Would you remember that one? That was the craziest party I think we've ever been a part of. But for Fest-wise, I love playing Mississippi. The band shell up in Rockford, they packed the place, 7,000 people, and it is a blast. The stage is humongous. And, that I think was a highlight for me. I don't really have favorites because one favorite, because the Genesee Theater, when we showed the film and the screen went up and Elwood parked his Bluesmobile up on stage, and we did a full concert. You know, we have a lot of favorite ones. Those are some of my favorites through the
Hey,
years.
Jim, I think for me, it's any stage setting where I can get close to the crowd. I like a stage that's only about a foot, half of elevation. And I like a stage where a crowd can get right up to you.
Nice.
And I don't care if it's 20 people or 10,000 people. I'm real close to people in the audience. To me, it's a fun time.
That's great. So you'd rather not have a photo pit or a pit of anything separation. You're like to be right in there.
I don't like the security barriers. I don't like people
No.
10, 20 feet away because to me, it's harder to draw them in to the experience.
Yeah.
We like to touch them.
But definitely, Jim, the prison has to be one of. It was a very hot night at the prison, but that was still a fun gig for us to be able to reopen the prison and have. I don't know how many people would you say were there, Elwood? About they had a limit.
It's hard to say. I don't know. 5, 6, 7, 8,000. I don't know.
Yeah, they had a cap on how many people could be there, but just getting to play there was a blast. I mean, it's like a dream come true. Getting to play at prison, you know. I mean, I performed in prisons, but not that, not outside.
To play that prison. I mean, it wasn't just
exactly.
a prison; it was that prison.
It was that prison. It was very hot, but it was amazing. And and the rest of the band was dressed up in their jailbird uniforms too.
Nice. We got another question that came in. Have either one of you guys met Dan Aykroyd or any of the Saturday Night Live fest people, those kind of things?
I've met Jim Belushi. That's it.
I've spoke to Dan on the phone. I have never met him in person. He knows of the band. He's seen the band. And there's some interesting. I've talked to Judy Belushi, Don's widow, a few times because we put together attempted to put together some business dealings. And if we have time, I'll go into that story. Hey, I don't want to forget, do we have somebody live that wanted to come in? I would.
Oh yeah, let's bring Jay in real quick. So I clicked on him here. It'll take a second for him to come in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I heard somebody knocking.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Oh my
Hey,
God.
comrade, what can we do for you? Hey, comrade, what's up?
Jay, your ears. We can't hear you.
I think you're on mute, buddy.
You're on mute. You got to unmute. I love the glasses, by the way.
What planet are you on?
Is working now.
What? Can we hear you?
Good. I am age. I mean, friend. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I am talking
yes.
to microphone. Is working? Good.
Yes.
All right. I hang on. I am getting orders from headquarters KGB. I am wondering if you would like to come over to Moscow and play gig in hotel room for my boss Putin and perhaps friend of American president. And we provide water sports.
We like to travel, yeah.
I have confirmation we will provide water sports for American big dog president.
Slip and slide.
Oh, so it's a party for Putin, and did you say possibly a going away party for somebody else? We could get on board.
In a hotel room. I mean,
in a hotel room, we could get on board with that.
We have hotel room. Yes, and perhaps is golden shower time.
The question
family
is,
show,
how many
Conrad.
Russian prostitutes do you provide?
It's a family show.
Well, all
But,
right.
yeah,
fine. You show us how to shake tail feather.
Yes, good. We do that. Yeah, we like to travel. So please go to our website and send me some information. We'll come to Moscow.
so Jay is one of your
All
stage
right.
players.
So let's introduce. This is our bass player, Jay Olasek, everybody. Jay, come on, say hello.
Ah, there he is. He's a
You
character, this
You
guy.
had me
This
fooled.
guy is the man of many voices in the band.
Just the one. That's the only
Oh,
one
just
I do.
today, just
I
the
do
one.
just the one. Well, that's the only one I do reasonably well. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good,
Jay
man.
is
We're just
great, man.
talking about some history, a little bit of everything. So, Jay, how long have you been with the band?
I think 2012
Oh,
is
eight
when I
years.
came on board.
Nice.
8 years.
So what's your favorite part about being in this band? And did you look for this band to play with these guys? Had you seen it before, or was it just something that you answered an ad or something?
That's an interesting question, a good question, and an interesting story. So I should start by saying that the Blues Brothers is my favorite movie. It always has been since I was 7 years old, and I remember lying. It was the late movie one night, and I remember I was from a Friday night, and my parents let me stay up late, and I was lying. I was on the couch, and my dad was in his easy chair, and I remember when Jake says, he goes to light the cigarette in the Bluesmobile just after Elwood picks him up. And he goes to light the cigarette and the lighter doesn't work and he tosses it out the window and my dad cracking up. And that's my first memory of that movie. And ever since then, it's been one of my favorites. So in 2009, I got asked by Brother John, one of our other band members, to fill in as a sub, and which was it was awesome. It was a dream come true, and just getting my foot in the door just as a sub. And what sucked was I had just joined another band. I had just joined the Michael Heaton band, and they had, they were going all over the country, so I couldn't sub with the Blues Brothers as much as I liked. And so in 2012, when they called me up to full time, the big leagues, and man, that was a dream come true. So yeah, I jumped at the chance, and it was great then, and it's great now, and the music is great, but hanging out is even more fun.
Yeah, do you guys, as a full band, and we asked this of Jake and Elwood already, but as a full band, do you guys hang out outside of the stage? Do you go to parties and stuff like that and just hang?
Yeah, and a lot of it is, a lot of us live pretty far away, so it can be difficult. But I live really close to Daddio, one of our horn section players, and he's a motorcyclist. I'm a motorcyclist, so we go riding all the time. Uh, uh, we live pretty close to Brian Finn, and just a couple weeks ago or last week we had a little bit of a barbecue out on the just hanging out. So yeah, we hang out quite a bit together. So it's fun. We all get along pretty well. We're all good friends, which makes playing together all the more fun. So yeah, it's a fun band full of a lot of strong friendships.
Are all you guys in the band, or all the members in the band from the Chicago area, from the Midwest area?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome.
To my knowledge, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know Sheila might have been born in Boston.
Yeah,
Everybody's been
Sheila
in
was born in
Chicago
Boston,
most of
but
their
everybody-
life. Yeah, everyone's been in Chicago most of their lives.
Mhm.
Well, I'll tell you my Blues Brothers movie story. I ditched high school one day because I heard they were doing this crazy film off Dundee Avenue in 53. And that was I went to Buffalo Grove High School. So that was about 2 miles away from that location.
I grew
And,
up in Buffalo Grove.
lo and behold, I did not know what the movie was at the time, but it was kind of cool to see the car go into the semi truck off that bridge right there. So
Oh, you got to see that.
I did get to see that. Yeah, that was
Oh,
cool.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, it wasn't good for school because I ditched school and then I got detention and I got to hang there. But and again, had no idea that was the movie until I saw the movie later on when it came out and was like, oh my God, I was there.
I got to
Wow.
tell you that to this day, I spend a lot of time going around to all of the sites in Chicago that are still around. They knocked the mall down about 10 years ago, but I got to go in there. I've been to the Shea Paul. I've been to the East 95th Street Bridge, but at least once a year, I don't know if this is going to work or not. At least once a year, I like to park my bike out in front of the gate of the prison
Yep.
and just hang out there. And I live about 10 minutes away from there, so I like
Jim,
to.
that's the spot where we shot the picture.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where you guys got pulled.
I'm gonna see if I can find the picture so we can show it
Yeah, but yeah,
on Facebook here.
I think
You,
it's on your webpage. If I
I think it
remember.
is. Let me see if it is. I'll see if I can find it.
So Jay, they were talking earlier about how when they did, first got together and they went out, Elwood called the prison up and they said, absolutely not. You cannot be out there taking photos at all. And like Jake and Elwood, you would do, they just went out there and did it anyway,
yeah,
because I mean, it's Jake and Elwood. Come on, you got to do it.
that's right. When are you gonna get another chance, right? When are they gonna get a chance to have a Jake and Elwood and an actual Bluesmobile out there? And then
Yeah.
when will we get a chance to take a picture like that? So yeah, you got to jump on
Yeah,
those.
Jay, I was telling him how we reenacted. Yeah, we reenacted the opening scene in front.
Yeah.
And
Did
So
did Chuck tell you that as part of a promo for that? No, I'm sorry. It was for one of the races at Chicagoland Speedway. They actually had Kyle. It was
Kyle Petty.
Kyle
Petty,
Petty
yeah.
and Rutledge Wood, and they actually got to drive Chuck's Bluesmobile around Joliet and take a bunch of shots there, and yeah, so it's cool. It's not just being a part of the band, but actually being a part of the city of Joliet, being a part of the history, and getting a chance to go inside the prison, and so it's been a blast, man.
it's awesome.
I've been having a great time, and I hope it goes. It's been going on for 28 years. I hope it goes on for another 28 more.
I'll tell you something interesting, Jim, and Elwood can go off of this. Is we went to go see the Ides of March playing at the prison, and we were doing meet and greets with people to get pictures, and we met the actual warden. And Jay, you were there.
I was.
You came there, and Elwood was talking to the actual warden during the filming of the movie and what all his experiences of what happened and how he put up with everything. And I mean, Elwood, you could continue that.
How surreal was that, Elwood, to meet the warden that was part of that whole time?
And I didn't ask him if he was the guy that I called that day, and then busted his chops and showed up anyway with a car and like 15 people to shoot pictures.
That's funny.
I know it's yeah, you're right. Totally surreal.
So your car, though, did you find a car and build the car, or did you find it as a built car?
I was actually sitting here earlier before we went live. It's a 74 Dodge Monaco, just like the movie. Okay. And I found it in Toledo, Ohio in 1998. It was an original owner, had at the time just, I think 38,000 miles on it. The guy that owned it, it was his dad's. His dad had passed away and had been sitting in a garage for a couple of years. He didn't know it was yellow, canary yellow. He didn't know it was the same thing as the Bluesmobile. And after I called him and told him I'll be there the next day, when I arrived in Toledo, he said, I didn't know that this was the Bluesmobile. He goes, I've been getting calls from all over the country.
Oh, geez.
And I said to him, I said, listen, I go, we have a deal or not? He goes, no, he goes, we have a deal. So, but in the glove box, and I'll read it to you, but this is the actual original bill of sale from the original owner who bought this car in 74 and paid $4,071 for that car with just $10 down.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, this is the original bill of sale for that car, the Bluesmobile. But
so you're the second owner.
Yeah.
And Jim, here is the picture of the reenactment.
Oh man, that's beautiful. That is so great.
And all we did was throw a Joliet police car in there on the right.
Right.
To
That's
bring it up
so
to speed.
great.
But
that is so.
That was really fun to reenact. I will tell you.
We got
another thing we played a gig. Now there was a Saturday Night Live exhibit, which is pretty cool. And we got to it was at the Museum of Broadcast Communications downtown. We played a private gig, so it was like being on the Saturday Night Live stage, and that we took a picture in front of the doors, the famous doors and whatnot, and that was a really cool moment for all of us too.
Yeah, did you say it's a cool moment? Did you at one point while you're up on stage playing, did you be like, were you like, man, this is unreal right now? This is like mind-boggling, or was it just another gig?
Oh no, we took in the whole history. I mean,
Yeah.
besides the set of SNL that's there, heck, the Bozo buckets are there. There's so many things that are interesting. You got to go sometime.
Well, the
Fraser
exhibit's gone
Thomas's
now.
wardrobe is
Yeah.
there. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's
Svengoolie's gear is there.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we got another question that came in from online. There is a blues mobile at the prison right now, and I think they did it for the tourist part, but you guys didn't have any part of that, did you?
You
Getting
mean
that in
it's
there?
sitting there full time?
It's inside the prison, yeah.
Oh,
So,
I did not know about that.
Yeah.
so
It's not
photographers now can go and pay a fee and walk in and just walk around the whole prison and take photos and stuff. So it's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
it may be, there's a Bluesmobile that's owned by a friend of ours named Ron Romero, who's fronting and heading up the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum that's going to be based in Joliet. And
Yeah, the Route 66. That's
yeah,
what
and
it
he
is.
purchased a Bluesmobile or built one about a year and a half ago. And occasionally he worked with the city of Joliet. That could be his sitting there. I don't know whose it is,
Yeah. And
but
I'm gonna
interesting and very fitting.
I'm going to answer Dennis. I think for whatever reason, that vehicle actually came from a bar in Mount Prospect called Bar 145. If I remember right, they bought that when that bar closed down, and it was a huge thing trying to get this because it was up on the second level. They had to take
Right.
a whole wall out and take the whole
Right.
car out, which is kind of crazy. But I think that's where it came from, to be honest with you, if I remember that. But so when you guys are now looking at the future of music on stages and going on with all this shutdowns and all the fests that have been canceled, what are you guys looking at as shows going forward? Are you seeing things start up in other states that people are calling you on, or are we just kind of in a hold mode like everyone else?
I think we're in a hold mode. We still have shows in September that have not canceled yet. And fingers crossed, for Huntley and a few other people, that things continue to progress in the right direction, that show will happen. And I'm hopeful that we'll get there. Luckily for us, 90% of our shows that canceled this year pushed the date 1 year, and we booked this for 2021.
Right.
And for us, that was 55 shows.
Wow.
And the thing that sucks, this year is actually the 40th anniversary of the Blues Brothers movie.
Right. Yeah.
And
That's going to be a pretty big year for you guys, right?
It was going to be our biggest year.
it was,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, there was
you know
talk of
what?
us doing a show down at the Pritzker Pavilion down by the Millennia downtown in August to commemorate the movie, excuse me. And obviously that's on hold and canceled at this point.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
So
I
what
just
can-
heard a interview today with some board members in Crystal Lake and McHenry County, and they're actually talking about doing a grand opening in Crystal Lake in 2 weeks. So July 1st or whatever, they're talking about doing that. And then I saw also today that a lot of the cities and fests that have canceled things going into July are now talking about at least putting up the fireworks and doing those kind of things. So, cross our fingers. Let's hope this thing gets back quicker than it did.
Exactly right. And like I say, this was going to be our biggest year because of the anniversary. We even had a pending in Wakanda. This, the scene in the Blues Brothers movie where they're on the beach
Yeah.
with the horn making the announcement. Well,
Yeah.
they're reopening Phil. That's called Phil's Beach.
Right.
They're reopening. They were supposed to reopen it this summer with the Blues Brothers performing. So, like I say, everything's being pushed. But let's hope we get back to that wonderful place that we all remember. We're blessed in the Chicagoland area there's not many segments of the country that have our degree of festivals that we're allowed to take in the summer, where virtually every town has a festival. You don't see that in other parts of the country.
No, and we've talked about that in previous interviews with other bands and other artists. I'll say it and I'll say it every single time I'm in front of anybody. Chicago has the best music scene in the whole country. The artistry that's here, the players that are here, the bands that are here, the passion that is here for music, and the fests that get put on by, like you said, every town, everywhere is just amazing.
I
And
agree.
that I was just telling my wife the other day, here we are at this point last year, we're in front of 7,000 people with 16 candles at Midsummer Fest. And, that fest didn't happen this year because of what's going on. So it's kind of surreal, sitting here going, it's June and we're not doing anything. What is going on right now? But, I do look forward to seeing a whole bunch of artistry and a whole bunch of bands out there. But as far as Huntley Fall Fest is concerned, you guys are playing on Sunday, man. We cannot wait for you guys to get on that stage.
Yeah, there's a strong lineup that day. I think it's Serendipity, us, Seventh Heaven. I'm not sure who else, but we got a pretty there's a strong lineup every day, really. But yeah.
And we're happy because last year we were rained out on the day we were going to play.
Right.
So we never really got to play Huntley Fall Fest, only the street fest over on the concerts in the street over in Huntley. Which we love playing, but we can't wait to play the fest.
Yeah. You guys, not only were you rained out, but Mr. Speed was rained out, and everybody. I think we had, out of all the bands, I think Friday night was Hillbilly Rockstars we had on stage. Lava Rock went on for a little bit, and maybe Modern Day
Serendipity. Right before us finished their set.
Yeah, they got a little bit in, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
See you, Jay.
Jay.
Hey, you leaving?
Jay needs to leave.
I'm gonna mosey. Thanks for having me on, everybody.
Wait, Jay, hold up. One more. You got to give us one more, man.
Bring over to Moscow and have Moscow Mule with me and my grandmother. She make borscht and we go to hotel room afterwards. Yeah.
I'm there.
Cool. I got my camera. I'm with you, man.
I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Thanks for dialing in from Moscow, Jake. See ya.
Oh, that's great. So you guys all have a sense of humor too. I mean, you guys got to be just fun on stage all the time.
I mean, that's our shtick on stage. Elwood, talks to the crowd, and we like to mess around with the crowd and have fun and make jokes. And the whole band, it's all we do is have fun on stage. We really just try to have the most fun as we can with the audience, and they love it. They reciprocate, off of us, and it's a lot of fun. Elwood's hysterical.
So is it something that, I know you guys say you don't do band practice or stuff like that, but is it, Jake, when you said he's hilarious and you say you work off him, is it something that it just comes natural, or is it something that you've worked on together?
Nothing scripted.
Yeah, it's all on the spot, all improvised.
I mean, the only thing that's scripted is we have a set list,
Yeah,
sure. Song you're going to start with, and even that changes on the fly based on how I feel the audience is reacting or where I think it's going. I'll call an audible.
And I'll tell you, we get to play some of the greatest music, other than what he said that we're working on. We do all the stuff from Motown, the Stax catalog, and even throw in some new tunes like a Bruno Mars, and Earth, Wind and Fire. And we love incorporating those party songs that, we want to make sure that the audience is having fun, dancing, and they're with us,
Have you ever had a stage where you're looking out into the crowd and, a lot of these fests, even like Wednesday night fest, people set up chairs and they're just sitting, and you're getting up on stage and you're like, well, they're sitting, now what? And then, there he goes.
I wouldn't make sure they get up.
I don't allow them to sit, not for long. And usually what I try to do before a show like that is I try to get out in the audience out of costume or send somebody else out there to inform that those people that are right in front, at the front of the stage is going to be mobbed and people are going to be standing up. So,
Nice.
that was the dance floor that they're sitting on.
Yeah.
10 or 15 feet if they really wanted to sit throughout the show.
Yeah, and we make sure with the theaters, you know, it's a theater. Sometimes there won't be room in front, like at the Rouse Center in Crystal Lake.
Right.
Elwood will make sure that they get up and they move as close as the stage and fill the aisles. And, you know, we make it a huge party by the end of the show.
That's awesome.
Every
What's your
time.
favorite song to play?
Elwood, I'll let you go first. I got to think on that.
Wow. I think Shining Star by Earth, Wind and Fire is one of my
that's great.
favorites. Yeah.
I have to say, Long Train Running, Doobie Brothers. We do a mix of the Doobie Brothers and is it Tower of Power, Elwood? Yeah. I mean, that was one of the first songs when I first joined the band. I clicked with right away, and I was like, "That's my song."
And probably
awesome.
what's become one of my favorite songs is Jake does an unbelievable, just like Belushi, Joe Cocker.
Oh yeah,
And we do a medley of
the letter going into with a little help from my friends. You know what? I would say that is my favorite. I'm with you, Elwood, on
and
that.
that brings the house down.
That
Yeah.
I turn into Joe Cocker and with all the contortions and everything, and that he's right. That the crowd.
And then after that, probably anything that Sheila sings, because anytime Sheila is singing, I'm in awe because she's just that amazing.
Yeah, I got to say, some of the videos that I watched over the last couple days, she is amazing.
Oh my.
Mhm. She's like
Wow.
Diana Ross, Gladys Knight, every female Motown legend rolled into one. She could do all of it and just effortlessly. She's
Yeah,
one of the
that's-
greatest voices I've ever heard on a stage.
Yeah, that was one of the words I was going to use. It seemed effortless with her. It was just
Oh,
absolutely smooth. Yeah.
She's a pro. She's
Yeah.
a total pro.
How does it feel to when you guys have that kind of dynamic in your band? How does it feel when you're out there and those people finally get up out of those chairs, they start dancing, that energy gets put back to you guys? How does that feel when you look out and you see that happen? I mean, is it like relief, or is it, I'm going to even give them more? How does that feel?
I don't know what Jake feels, but exactly what you said. I'm like, we're going to take it up another notch and another notch and another notch before the end of the show. So just wait. We're just getting started.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I always have
we
to.
work into a frenzy.
Yeah, I have to take it up a notch every time. I feed off the crowd, and it's so much fun that, like, if I see it, they're responding, they're loving it, I will go one step higher and higher and higher till the end of the show, till I'm passed out on the stage.
And I was going to say, did you ever get to that point where you're passed out?
Oh
where you're
yeah,
like,
Elwood, how
"Oh."
many times have I passed out on stage? I fall straight forward all the time.
Pretty darn close.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? In the summer with the black suits and the hats,
Oh, sure.
I mean, we recorded some stage temperatures of plus 120, 125.
Yeah,
And,
we've suffered heat stroke on stage.
And we work hard out there. You know, we don't phone it in. When we leave a show, we're drenched like we played a basketball game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
100 degrees outside, and where our faces are red, and we're still going.
And it feels good, right? I mean, yeah, you're getting beat up because of all that weather and all that hot.
It's the energy. It's the energy
Right.
of the music. The music.
You don't notice it at the time, yeah.
Yeah, it's the energy. The energy keeps us driven even through the hottest temperatures.
What are some of the fan stories that you guys have from doing those kind of shows where, you know, somebody's out there in the crowd and, you know, I think one of the coolest things I've ever seen is a fan that is sitting there just like this, and you know that they're going to be the ones that just are doing nothing, no smile, no anything, and then the band gets them going. Well, do you guys have any stories like that where they come up to you later and you know, say whatever they say? What?
You know, there's been a few shows. I got to tell you, this is many, many years ago. And in a way, it's embarrassing. I was 3/4 of a way through a show, and everybody around this guy was up this guy, and I kept pointing, I'm going to get you dancing before the night's over. Well, it turns out the reason he wasn't dancing, he was missing a leg.
Oh, geez.
But he jumps up on his one good leg finally, And as he's dancing, one of his friends comes running from the car with like his other wooden leg, so they could hook him up. And he was partying and having a great time. But for a second, I gulped and I said to myself, "What have I done?" But he loved it. I loved it. Everybody loved it. Okay. But that could have been one of those uh-oh moments.
Right, right.
But it turned out amazing. Yeah, it turned out amazing.
Yeah, I don't really have any stories. I mean, I've seen a lot of people like, you know, a lot of older guys stern and just literally having their hands folded like that, watching. And then we start playing. And by the end of the show, when we do our meet and greets with the crowd, they'll come up to me or Elwood and go, "Oh my God, that was one of the greatest shows I was." It's so blank faced, you know, it's almost like theater. Sometimes, you know, I come from a theater background. And when you have the blank face and people are processing what they're watching, and then they'll come up after you and surprise the hell out of you. That's what's happened a lot of the time for us. We have a lot of people like that at festivals. They're standing around, they look like they're pissed, and then they come up afterwards saying, "Oh my God, that was great."
That's awesome. That's awesome. Is there like you know, those Blues Brothers aficionados, those diehard Blues
The
Brothers
fanatics?
fans,
Oh,
the
yeah.
fanatics
Every
that look
show.
at you and
Every show. I mean, we performed in a couple places where people thought I was actually John Belushi, that I was still alive, and tapping me on the shoulder. Remember that, Elwood? And I think down south.
We have our special fans. And
Yeah, we have our special fans.
There are some fans that come dressed up like Jake and Elwood. And those are the
Oh yeah, suits and all.
And sometimes they actually resent when we break off and do like an Earth, Wind, and Fire or Chicago song, because all they want to hear is Blues Brothers stuff. They're like super diehard. They just want to hear the Blues Brothers.
Yeah,
that's funny.
They're more towards the film, but you know, we like to do more than just the songs from the movie and the repertoire. If the Blues Brothers still existed, Aykroyd and Belushi still existed today, the material that we do is what they would have been doing.
Oh, that's a great way to think about that.
Yeah, I believe that too. They would have filled it out with, you know, everything horn driven, Chicago, Earth, Wind, and Fire, you know, fun stuff, you know, a show. And that's exactly what we do. Yeah.
Yeah, party kind of songs.
And by incorporating these medleys like Huey Lewis and Prince and Earth, Wind, and Fire, and even my own original music songs, which was influenced by the Blues Brothers sound, you know, we are trying to create something new for Blues Brothers fans to enjoy the Blues Brothers experience with a little extra fun. That is a big party that we want to create for people.
That's great. Is that something that you guys are I'm not going to finish that question because I looked at your webpage. I don't think I saw that kind of stuff. Is that something that would help you promote the show to those kind of fanatics? Because, you know, I've met some fanatics for tribute bands that are just like, there's no way they're going to play. And then by the end of the show, they're like, wow, these guys are great. Like Mr. Speed. If you like Kiss, Mr. Speed is the band to see.
Oh, they're great. I've seen them. They're great.
Yeah, they're amazing, amazing. Just character-wise, but down-to-earth guys, just like you guys are. So, yeah, is it something where, you know, your fans look at you and go, I'm all right with how you guys did it, you know, in their Chicago accent kind of thing? I do a bad Chicago accent. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but speaking to your point, let's face it, you can do a Beatles tribute because they've got so much material, or Kiss tribute. They have enough material that they can go to and play a 3-hour show or concert. The Blues Brothers, when you really think about it, they did a few covers and some copies, but they probably had 4 or 5 or 6 noticeable songs from the movie. They had a few others that people would recognize. After that, people would not be able to tell you, oh, the Blues Brothers played that song. They had some obscure albums, but I had to round it out with music that I knew the crowd would gravitate to in the year 2019, 2020, and going forward.
Right, but in that style of the Blues Brothers.
In the style, we're still fronting the band, and we sprinkle Aretha in there, and Tina Turner, and the Blues Brothers in between, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Bruno Mars, Chicago, Prince, Huey Lewis, and the News, a little bit of everything. but we keep everybody entertained.
Yeah, I mean, we keep going. I mean, we'll slow down and do some, like Sheila and I do a duet of Let's Stay Together or Try a Little Tenderness, and we mix it in. But if you really think about it, the Blues Brothers, when they released all their albums, there was the songs from the movies, and then all the other stuff they released afterwards. Not many people paid attention to, except the real fanatics.
Right. Right. It was a movie. It was a skit on Saturday Night Live.
And then the
It was-
sequel, yeah, can't forget the sequel.
Yeah, and then the sequel, and then what the history happened with everything else. So
Yeah.
you've made this 28 years. You've made it this long.
I mean, we still play Rawhide, but not every show.
Yeah.
It's one of those songs. It's whimsical, it's fun, and in the right moments it works. But if we're in a fest environment and when the crowd is charged up and everyone's dancing and the band is cranking, I'm not going to slow it down to do Rawhide.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll tell you, Jim, some of the fun, we've done Rawhide at like was it the Schaumburg Boomers, Elwood? And we brought out the horses and went out on the field, and we did it at a hockey game too. And yeah, that's a shtick
We did
that
a
everybody
private party in Michigan 2 years ago, and they set the stage up with chicken wire,
Nice.
just
That's
like the
great.
movie.
And
But
they were throwing beer cans
unfortunately,
at us.
Unfortunately, when we played Rawhide, they started throwing their drinks, and we were soaked in beer.
So
We were so it wasn't that funny. It happened to you.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
it
it's
was
funny now
interesting.
to look back. Yeah.
It's funny now,
Okay.
and it was funny to them, but it wasn't funny to us when
It
you're
was
trying to
not funny
sing
to us.
and you're getting
No.
hit in the face with all kinds of liquids and bottle caps, and yeah.
Yeah, when he said, please don't throw your beer bottles or anything, they completely went against it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hey, Dan Kellerman says he can't wait to be partying with you guys again.
Can't wait to
Awesome.
party with
Dan,
them.
Dan's on. A bunch of people are on. I could probably name names here, but Jake,
We
have you ever
love and
met?
miss them all.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you met Jim Belushi at all?
I met Jim Belushi when he first started the comedy bar in Chicago downtown, next to where Al's the original Al's Italian Beef downtown. If it is the original, I can't remember. But I remember he had Al's Italian Beef, and I was talking to him. I got invited to the opening of his club, and I got to chat with him for a good half an hour, and he was telling me stories of his brother, and it was amazing. And then nicest guy you could ever meet. And then years later, I think maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, I met Paul Schaefer and Tom Bones Malone. And I got to talk with Paul Schaefer afterwards for a little bit. I told him I'm in the Blues Brothers. He said, "Oh, I know who you guys are." And, he was familiar with us, just like Aykroyd. And, he was another guy. So I've had my fair share of meeting, some people that were close to them. But Elwood, got to talk to the closer ones like Judy and Dan.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. Hey, what's your favorite line from the movie, Jake?
Oh
Putting you on the
man,
spot. There's so many. I mean,
There's
it's
so
so
many.
hard. There's so many.
I love the orange whip. I just love when John Candy's just sitting there going orange whip, orange whip, orange whip, orange whip. I mean that. And then we played a gig, and they actually made us orange whips at the bar, and we tried them for the first time, and they were so good.
They served orange whips with vodka at the prison gig.
Yeah, that's right. They made orange whips at the prison.
I'm trying to read this question. Let me read this question that just came in from John. When was the last time you ate 4
Fried chickens and a Coke?
Yeah.
4 fried chickens and a Coke. It's in the movie.
I had
Right.
2 fried chickens 2 weeks ago in a Coke, but not 4.
Sorry, fried was spelled incorrectly, and I kept reading it incorrectly. My bad. So it's been an hour. If you guys can believe, it's been an hour.
It went by way faster than it's
I
been an
told
hour,
you
almost
guys.
an hour 10. Wow.
Swings by quick.
What do you want to tell your fans out there? What do you want to tell the people that have been looking forward to seeing your shows and seeing that shows have been pushed off. What do you want to tell your fans? Elwood, go first, and I'll end with Jake.
Well, I'd like to tell them that we miss them as much as they miss being out and hearing live music and back to that place that we all remember. And the good thing, the only good thing, or one of the good things about this layoff, let's call it, is that it's giving us a chance to take a step back and bring in a lot of new material. So we're going to have, like we talked earlier, we're putting together a Prince medley, a Huey Lewis and the News, some more Stevie Wonder, one of Jake's, Kevin's originals. So, you know, we're going to step up our game and make our show even better for the next time we're out. So people will remember what's from before, but they're going to hear a lot of new stuff.
Awesome. Jake, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go off Elwood on that. You know, I know that all our fans are waiting for us, and it's been a hell of a year, but it's going to be well worth the wait. We are going to come back stronger and better than ever than you've ever seen us, with a lot more material, more energy. We're going to hype up this production even bigger, and we're going to rock all your worlds.
That's great. That's great. And again, September 27th, you guys are going to be on our stage. September 25th, 26th, and 27th at Huntley Fall Fest in Huntley, Illinois, right off Route 47, just north of 90. Oh, we got one more question to come in. Oh, you have to tell them which John is asking these questions. John Katkey.
The jokester himself.
Whoa,
John's our keyboard player, Brother John.
Mhm.
right
Yeah.
on.
Brother
Yeah,
John.
John is kind of a famous Chicago musician. He's one of the cream of the crops, amazing guitarist, keyboard player, vocalist, heads up his own act, Brother John. Plays
He's
with
played
all
with
the,
everybody.
plays with every famous blues artist you could ever name. He's played with them all.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
John, I usually don't use last names for whatever reason. I don't know, but John Katkey, thank you for being here and showing us how much you love these guys and playing with these guys. That's amazing. With that, you know, we're kind of done unless you guys have any other stories you want to leave us with, a fun story you want to leave us with. Either one of you guys been arrested? You don't have to go into that. You don't have to
Arrested.
go into that.
Maybe.
I'll get
Maybe.
here's a story. You know, Elwood carries a briefcase with a set of handcuffs on it.
Yes.
For
What's in that
years,
briefcase? Hold on.
Yeah.
What's in that briefcase?
legitimately, I have my harmonicas in there, set list, checks for the band, some magic
And
markers.
microphones. And microphones.
Yeah. But anyway, a few years ago, we used to have dancers in our show that would dress like Chicago cops. There was a period of 2 years where I had a real set of handcuffs that I had attached to this briefcase, but I would never really lock it on my wrist. It was always set to like where it wouldn't lock. Well,
Right.
at one show, as the skit was, Jake and Elwood come charging in with our female cops, like roughing us up.
Yeah.
One of the female dancers locks me in the handcuff and it doesn't come off. And I do the show, handcuffed the whole show. After the show, we call local police. They don't have a key that can open it. We had to pack down the PA system and I was moving speakers. And then to drive the Bluesmobile with a handcuff on one arm all the way to Rockford. And it took me till about 5 in the morning in the garage to hacksaw myself out of the handcuff.
Oh man.
It was horrible.
I didn't even know that story. That's
yeah.
crazy.
Oh my God. It's horrible.
I mean, looking back at it, that's kind of a great story though. You know, it's one of those things you cannot forget.
Well, yeah, and I wore it the whole show as I'm singing attached to the, briefcase. I had to lug this thing around for the whole 3 sets or whatever it was. But yeah.
It's crazy. Well, we really appreciate you guys being here. We appreciate you bringing in Jay and having some fun with, have fun in Russia.
Yeah,
I
with
know it's-
Boris. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, with Boris.
What a gig. That's going to be a fun gig.
I mean, going to that hotel room with his mom has got to be a treat.
You never know. Never know
Please
what'll
take-
come out of that.
Please take some video of that. I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. Maybe
Hey,
not.
and Jim, thanks for doing this. The folks at Huntley, Bryant and his whole crew, they are amazing in their perseverance and how week after week, day after day, they're getting stuff like to kind of keep the spirit alive. I don't know of any other town that's worked as hard as they have to keep the spirit alive and to keep a heartbeat going, and we're hopeful that this is going to happen.
Yeah, we are too. And I'm sure he's watching right now because he always does. But
Good.
we do appreciate that. He's a great guy to work with. And he puts together a great team, like you said. So
Wow.
we've been with him for 5 years or 6 years now, and he's just a great guy to hang out with too. So, but we really appreciate you guys being here. Don't forget September 25th, 26th, 27th, Dikey Park. Are you going to bring your car?
Oh, the Bluesmobile is always there.
Blues
Yep.
Mobile is always there. Fantastic. We'll make sure we have a place for it where people can hang out with it. Will you guys do photos with the fans with it, or?
Always.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic.
we never turned down a request.
That's awesome. Thank you to First National Bank of Omaha for sponsoring us again this year. We really appreciate those guys and all of our other vendors and sponsors. See you guys. If you have anything else, just send it in. We'll make sure we post it on our Facebook page.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Huntley. Thank you, Chicago.
Thanks, Chicago.
See you guys.
Yeah.